This is Unit 4, Lesson 13, Solving Systems of Equations, and this is Activity 1, True or False, 2 lines. You're given a series of statements and asked whether each statement is true or false. And these are the graphs of the two equations for this problem. And you're going to see that there's a single point of intersection at 2, 8. So when x is equal to 2, y is equal to 8. And that is true for both equations. So if I choose a value of x is equal to 2 and solve, I'm going to get y equals 8 for both equations. X equals 2, y equals 8. But if I choose a different value for x, let's say a value of 8 for x, then I'm going to get a different value of y. It's going to be out here somewhere. So for this graph and this equation, y is going to be right here. But for this graph and this equation, y is going to be up here. But if I choose a different value for y, let's say out here around 2, then x is going to be different. X is going to be way down here. Actually, x is going to be negative. Or for this equation and graph, and x is going to be positive. It's going to be way over here for this equation and graph. There is only a single point where if I choose a value for x, I'm going to get the same value for y. Or if I choose a value for y, I'm going to get the same value for x. And that is at this point of intersection. The authors are getting at something called the transitive property, which says that when A is equal to C and B is equal to C, then A and B are equal to each other. So imagine if you have a student A has $5 and student B has $5, then they are both equal to each other. They both have the same amount of money. So for the equations, if one expression is equal to y and a second expression is equal to that same y, then both of these expressions are equal to each other. So that allows you to set them equal to each other and solve for that value of x, which is going to give you the same value of y, and that is the intersection. That is the solution to the system of equations, this system of equations. With the transitive property in mind, determine whether each of these statements is true or false. So the first statement, if x is 2, does y equal 8? And that statement is true. When you replace x with 2, then you work through this, you get an answer of y equals 8. So on the graph, when x is 2, y is equal to 8 for this equation right here. Y equals a negative x plus 10. So now they're giving you the other expression and asking you if x is 8, does y equal 2? So now x is 8, does y equal 2? And that is false. When x is 8, y is not equal to 2 for this equation. Actually, y is equal to 2 for the other equation, for y equals a negative x plus 10. For this equation, y is equal to 20. When x is 8, y equals 20. So now if you set both of these expressions equal to each other and replace x with 8, do you get the same value for y? In this expression, you do not. You get a value of y equals 2. In this expression, you get a value of y equals 20. So you only get the same value of y when x is equal to 2, not 8. And that's the point of intersection. So in this expression, if you replace x with 8, you get y equals 2. In this expression, if you replace x with 8, y is equal to 20 up here. On the other hand, if you replace x with 2 for both expressions, you get the same value. You get an answer of 8. So when x is 2, then these two expressions are equal to each other. That's the transitive property. Y is equal to 8 and y is equal to 8. When x is 2, y is equal to 8 for both of these equations. This equation right here and this equation right here. And finally, there are no values of x and y that make these two equations true at the same time. And we know that's false. There is a point that makes those equations true at the same time, and that's the point of intersection, 2, 8. Okay, back to the transitive property. When one expression is equal to y and another expression is equal to that same y, then you can use that to figure out what the value of x is, set them equal to each other, solve for x, and then you can use that to solve for y. So they will have the same value of x and the same value of y. So if you have x equals 2, then y is going to equal 8. But if you choose a value for x other than 2, say 8, you're going to get different values of y. If you choose a value for y other than 8, let's say 2, you're going to get different values for x. And again, if you choose a different value for x other than 2, let's say -1, you're going to get different values for y. So 2 and 11. So here are the 5 statements once again, and I wanted to add 4 more pairs of statements. So I would use each of these and go back to that figure, the graph, and see where they end up. So if you choose x equals 2, then y is going to be the same for both equations. So x is 2, y is 8. So that's true and true. But if you choose a value for x other than 2, let's say 8, then only one of them is going to be true. This one right here, x is 8, y is 2. But this one, x is 8, y is not 2. That's false. Y actually turns out to be 20. For this one, if you choose 8 as x once again, but y is not 20 for this one. Actually, we just saw that y is actually 2, and y is 20 for this equation. So this is 8, 20. So this is true. This one's false. And the last one, choose a value for x other than 2. Let's choose x equals -1. So when x is -1, y is 2. That's true. But when x is -1, y is, for this equation, y is not 2. Y is actually 11. So this is false. So go through these pairs, match them up to that graph, and just think about it. Think through it. Try to explain it to yourself or try to explain it to another student. Now you could rewrite each equation so that you're solving for x. X equals this amount over here for this equation, or rewrite this equation, moving the terms around, so x equals this amount right here. So now x is equal to the same thing, so you can set both of these expressions equal to each other and now solve for y. Just doing the same exact thing, but we're rewriting each equation in terms of y rather than in terms of x. So when you solve for y, you better get an answer of y equals 8. Then plug this value of y back into either one of these equations, and you're going to get an answer of x equals 2. So -8 plus 10 is 2, or 8 divided by 2 is 4, plus a -2 is 2.